Who is Elizabeth Taylor? Famous actress, wife of 7 husbands, mother of 4 children, loyal friend, activist who has helped millions of people with HIV, person who influenced that in America we have free restrooms everywhere. That's so small thing, but so important. Or she just a woman who tried to find her love, who tried to find her happiness, who tried just to be not lonely. Whole world knows how positive and strong Elizabeth Taylor. But this book shows her weakness. Have I seen any movies of Elizabeth Taylor? No. Unfortunately, no. But I know who it is. And that's the moment when you haven't seen any of her movies, but you know this actor and you want to learn more about her. Not because of movies, but because of her personality. Many years ago, I seen only few minutes of her famous movie Cleopatra, and that was enough for me. I remember that my thought was, wow, that's real woman. And after so many years, I still remember that few minutes. I impressed of her beauty, of her strength, of this power of her energy. Even through the screen, you can feel it. And that's amazing. Not any person can do it. A woman who I never knew, but so much respect. My emotions during reading this book, at the beginning I felt annoyed. After this I felt disappointed. And to the end I understood how legendary this person. At the end of the book I cried. I think if it would be a question with who I want to spend 5 minutes from any celebrity, I will choose her. If you haven't read this book, I highly recommend you to read this book. It's an amazing example how to stay strong and positive no matter what, and try to find light even in the most darkest situation. Unfortunately, life is so much unpredictable, brings so many hard moments that even strongest of us can be broke. And Elizabeth Taylor, one of example how life can break you, but you still get up and do what you're supposed to do. We wouldn't talk with you so much about her childhood, because I think the most important I want to talk, it happened when she was grown up already. So her mother gave birth to Elizabeth. First what she asked the doctors, is it beautiful child or no? Because whole her pregnancy she tried to think only about positive stuff and light stuff. She believed that that's the way how the kids can be beautiful. Her mother wanted to be a famous actress, but instead she had poor acting and nobody wanted to work with her. So that's the main reason why mother of Elizabeth Taylor was so obsessed to make her daughter famous actress. Elizabeth's mother controlled absolutely everything what she did. How she smiled, how she speak, how she walk, how she sleep. For Elizabeth didn't have any freedom. She didn't have childhood. And that's what she was regrets the most, that she doesn't know what it is to be child. She was very upset that she never had any friends. She went to the special school in Hollywood and it was only 3 hours per day. She went to the normal school. She wanted normal life. In 1942 she debuted in There Is One Born Every Minute. The movie was not successful. She shooting one more movie, it was National Velvet, and that movie made her famous. Even after few more movies, she still felt isolated, and she even fight with her mother to go to the college. She didn't want to be Elizabeth Taylor, she wanted to be just normal girl, normal student, and had normal life. But her mother manipulated her and she told her that for what I spent whole my life just to do everything for you and make you famous. So Elizabeth Taylor felt guilty, apologized to her mother and promised that she never again even will think to quit her actor's career. Her father was homosexual, and at that time it was very dangerous that other people find out about this, because then everyone would be against of you. So that's the reason why he married to mother of Elizabeth Taylor, but after some time he divorced with her and again show up and again disappears. I think because Elizabeth didn't have a normal life, she didn't had any experience of the love, of the romance. Maybe that's why she whole life tried to find real love. And unfortunately all the time it was something wrong with this. Girl 16 years old and she never been in the date, but she wanted to find a boyfriend and she can. All the time she just worked and worked and worked and she never been around her peers. When it was her first movie when she's supposed to kiss, she didn't want that first her kiss would be on the screen. She wanted that it would be real. So she found some man who worked with her to ask him to kiss her. And that was her first kiss, and after 2 weeks she kissed during when she shooting new video. And here actually fun fact, I didn't know about this. When I was teenager, I read a lot of Theodore Dreiser. If you haven't read, highly recommend read his books. It's amazing books. It's classic, of course, so it's very interesting. Favorite his book was American Tragedy, and that's the moment when you from other books find out something about books what you read before. I didn't know that American Tragedy is actually a real story what happened. So that was interesting to learn. Elizabeth Taylor met with Monty. Monty was gay, but she so much loved him and she so much wanted to marry him, but unfortunately it couldn't be happen. She asked him be her friend. She became loyal friend to him until when he died. I had shocked of her mother, and her mother was so much annoyed me. I feel so bad about Elizabeth Taylor because just of her mother. It's, like when you have this mother, you don't need any enemies anymore. What we have next? So Elizabeth Taylor find her husband number 1. And his name is Nick Hilton. He is father owner of Hilton's hotels. So he extremely rich, and everyone knows that he is pretty harsh, especially when he drink alcohol. He can beat everyone who is around him. Elizabeth's mother knew about this, but she just but he's rich, he's handsome, so why not? When you already see what the mother she had. But her mother went much more further. She took Elizabeth to gynecologist before her wedding and asked doctor to check is her daughter virgin or no. And when doctor says that yes, her daughter is still virgin, and you can understand how Elizabeth felt shame of all this procedure. But she didn't have any choice because she was dependent of her mother. Her parents controlled her money and her freedom. They controlled absolutely everything. So what we know about child trauma. No wonder why Elizabeth so strong became. So her mother told doctors to cut her hymen, that everything would be alright in her first night with her husband. I'm surprised that her mother didn't stand with a candle next to their bed and check that there would be absolutely everything alright. I think it's only because at that time Elizabeth already was 18 years old and she was independent and she could take her life to her hands. Less than 1 year they had divorced because of domestic violence. Her husband beaten her all the time and she had bruises on whole her body. Also she had miscarriage because her husband liked to beat her on her stomach. Even after months from divorce, she could eat only baby food. At that moment, we can already see to be famous is not blessing, it's more curse. And that people who want to be famous, I highly recommend it to read this book because it shows how it's hard to be famous. She don't have privacy at all. Even when Elizabeth wanted to walk in the park, she wore sunglasses, hat, coat. She tried to cover most of her body, and still people recognized her. She couldn't even walk with the park, and around her it's always supposed to be security. She every time has to be concentrated because any moment someone could attack her. There's more curtain than blessing to live just from the building to the building with a lot of security and look to your back. Of course, Elizabeth Taylor had plenty of fans, and it was funny one, his name is Howard Hughes. When Elizabeth rested on her swimming pool, helicopter came to her house, and there's Howard was with a huge diamond ring and proposed her to marry him. He tried influence to her mother, suggest any money, but Elizabeth still said no. But for joke, she said, okay, if you give me $2 million, I will say yes. And next day, someone knocked to her room, and there it was $2 million. But she still said no. He was years and years trying to get her attention, but unfortunately, Elizabeth said every time no. Now is husband number 2. Michael Wilden. He was some actor, and with him she had 2 children, 2 boys. Elizabeth dreamed to be mother. One is Christopher and another Michael. Unfortunately, this marriage wasn't so long time, also only a few years, because Michael, he was older 20 years than Elizabeth. They had relationship father-daughter, and Elizabeth didn't like it because she seen her weakness, not strongest. Happened one interesting moment when she was pregnant with first her child. She had contract with MGM, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, and they was very upset that she became pregnant. It means that she couldn't work for next her movies during 1-2 years, and they was so much upset that even didn't give any roles to her husband Michael. They bought new house, and here they don't have any money. Elizabeth came to MGM, begging on her knee when she is pregnant of some money, and they gave her only $100 and love. And that's when she decided that she never ever again will beg for money. There also was some rumors that she had affair with Frank Sinatra, even had abortion in Mexico. We're not sure if it's true or no, but it was these rumors. I'm personally surprised of this. I understood that Elizabeth, her role in the life is to be a mother, and she tried to care about everyone, and she was so much love kids that she even adopted one more because she understood after Liza, and Liza is her third child, daughter from their husband number 3, Mike Todd. After Liza, she had tubal ligation, permanently birth control, and she was so depressed over this, so she decided to adopt one more child, and her name is Maria. Honestly, her mother, she wasn't so good to her kids because mostly of the time her kids was in the boarding school or somewhere else, and she met with them only when they had some holiday, and that's it. Mostly her time she was spent with her friends, colleagues, doing movie and party and other stuff. I think part of this why she didn't spend so much with her kids is influenced by her mother, because her mother was so much controlled her that she decided to give her children absolutely freedom to do what they want. We see that it's what is usually happen from one extreme to another. Let's continue talk about her husband. The husband number 3, Mike Todd, self-made millionaire producer. and he was the love of her life. Unfortunately, they lived together a little bit more than 1 year because he died in his private airplane. But he loved Elizabeth so much. He told her that he had only one dream, to be with Elizabeth Taylor, and he did absolutely everything for her. And he is that husband who gave her a lot of jewelry, and she loved him a lot, and she feels safety with him, and they have this beautiful love that was seemed so pure and so nice. When Mike Todd died, it shows one more time how could be cruel Hollywood, because after his death, what they were thought that that's good for Elizabeth, because now she will play much better, especially grief and death. I don't know how it's now Hollywood. I hope that it's much better, because I don't understand that people who decided to be famous actors, because what is Hollywood did, it's so bad. And before parents were controlled her, and now it's Hollywood controlled her, tell her what she's supposed to do and how she's supposed to do. She had contract with them and she couldn't break it, and she tried to break contract with MGM, but she couldn't. After Mike Todd, who is a millionaire, who is a rich man, and she is such a famous actress and had so much money, but after his death, she was grieving a couple weeks, and afterwards she is supposed to went and again make more movies, because she didn't have cash. And that's strange, because I didn't quite understand where is all this money going, because her husband was kind of rich and she was supposed to be kind of rich and she had a lot of jewelry, but after divorces she never had money. So that's a strange moment. After Mike Todd, every Arab countries banned Elizabeth Taylor, because after his death, because he was Jewish, and she decided to convert it to Judaism because of Mike. I kind of disagree with this, because I think that if you decided to change your faith to another one, it's supposed to be from your heart, not because your husband has this faith. It was also bad for her career. She accepted to play a role Cleopatra. If you haven't seen that movie, I recommend you to watch it. I was watched only 20 minutes, but it's an amazing movie and I will continue to watch. I just didn't have time. But before Cleopatra, it was husband number 4. His name is Eddie Fisher, and he is singer and close friend of Mike. She decided to marry Eddie Fisher. That's just like the most ridiculous reason. He was close friend of the Mike, and he loved Mike a lot. He loved him so much that he had a wife. He named his son Todd because of Michael Todd. Elizabeth and Eddie, they loved Michael Todd so much, they decided to marry and be together. Obviously, they weren't happy together, and here when its husband number 5 show up, Elizabeth meet with Richard Burton, and he was famous actor too during the shooting in Cleopatra. And here was interesting also about money. If you like counting others' money, I like to do it. And that's what's interesting, that Elizabeth usually salary she had $125,000. For Cleopatra, she asked $1 million. At that time, producers, they thought between Audrey Hepburn and Elizabeth Taylor. Audrey Hepburn had contract with other companies, so she couldn't participate in this movie, but she had for movie Breakfast with Tiffany $750,000. So Elizabeth, she decided that she was $1 million, and eventually she had this $1 million. And here's the part when I feel disappointed and nasty to read about marriage number 5 and 6, marriage between Elizabeth and Richard been during 10 years. Afterwards they divorced, and afterwards they again remarried, and second marriage was less than 1 year, and they again divorced. So he was husband number 5 and 6. Again, Elizabeth Taylor cheated her husband on that time, Eddie Fisher, and everyone knew about this, and Eddie of course felt bad about this. Richard at the time, he had wife and children, and all of them were suffering because Richard and Elizabeth, instead to came to their partners and say, okay, we fall in love and we want to be together. No, they cheated, but they couldn't do it quite because they're extremely famous and everyone look at them. So they continue to cheat it, and for sure you couldn't imagine, I can't imagine how it is when your husband or wife cheated at you and whole world know about this and talk about this. So it was extremely bad. They have children both. Elizabeth has 4 children and Richard had 2 children, and they were suffering, struggling also. And Elizabeth, after 20, 30, 40 years, she is still suffering about this and begging for forgiveness of these children. I didn't quite understand for what to make everything harder, why they couldn't just like to be honest with each other, with their supporters. We see this nasty story. Another what I didn't like to read at all, for me it was totally unprofessionalism behavior of Elizabeth Taylor. The company 20th Century Fox, they gave her a lot of money. She had absolutely everything what she wants. It's like food, service, and in the book it says that to the Richard and Elizabeth, everyone was attitude like to the queen and king there. So any what they want, they had right away. Eventually many people was fired, and 20th Century Fox was almost bankrupt because of this movie. Because Elizabeth Taylor, sometimes she has headache, sometimes she didn't like how it looks like her eyes, they were puffy because she was cried before, or it was again something happened, and she all the time delay shooting of this movie. First they decided to make movie in England, but Elizabeth didn't like climate in England, and they everything took to the Rome. In the Rome she likes more. Think that she probably delayed because of the Richard, because she wanted to be more with him, and there was a good reason to be together, because of course they couldn't like other people just talk and decide to be together. No, they pretended that between them it's nothing happened, but everyone knew that they slept together. Eventually they married with each other, and that was extremely bad. It was seems that they were just obsessed with each other. They couldn't have normal life. He is alcoholic, and after some time she became alcoholic, and also she had drugs, so they all the time were fighting, and he even beat her. He was very rude to her, and seems that they want to be apart with each other, but they couldn't because they were obsessed with each other. Their relationship was more toxic, and well, they were happy. I just didn't quite understand it because I have different character, right? I'm not Elizabeth Taylor with her emotional, even I thought that I'm emotional, but seems that she all the time needed that someone would be control her and make her life it's very emotional. That's what she was trying to find in their life, because others who tried to be good to her, it was boring for her. And here's husband number 6, John Warner. He is U.S. Senator. After Richard, she was feel very bad. She tried absolutely everything what is possible to keep him close to her, and that's another, I think it's so humiliation was to her, and read about this, how she was humiliated herself because of Richard Burton, and he understood that they couldn't be together at all, and they make their life much much harder to each other. She understood it too, but still she was obsessed, and everything what she wants, she is supposed to get it. But Richard was very hard with his decision, and he decided that they can't be anymore together, and especially because of his alcoholism, his liver became bad, his kidney became bad, and his condition was very bad, and he was sick. And he found a wife who was take care of him, and he feel better with her. Elizabeth, during all this year, she had many operations for everything what is possible. She had alcoholism and drug addicted she been, and also it was some spots on her lungs. After operation, it became everything fine, but still the condition after this marriage was very bad. Husband number 6, John Warner, U.S. Senator, and she became political wife, and she a little bit influenced for the political side of America. How I said before, when she went to the restroom in the public and she understood that she need to pay, and she asked her husband that probably he need to do something because that's not nice to pay for restroom, and that's how she influenced that we have free restrooms. She was very unhappy in this marriage because she almost never seen her husband. Her husband was all the time busy, and she was feel lonely. She gained 44 pounds, and she didn't like that she again lonely, and even more without freedom, because on that time political wife, they supposed to be very quiet and be more like at the background of the husband. Elizabeth Taylor, with her energy and that she is the most important actress and the most bright person, she just can't be quiet. Eventually she divorced with him because she understood that she wants again have her freedom. After her divorce, they anyway stayed as friends, and she anyway influenced through him to the political life. She was help with LGBT also, and with women's rights. And during their marriage, she sold some of her jewelry to help his campaign. Elizabeth Taylor had many friends who was homosexuals. She doesn't like how it was others' attitude to them. She believes that everyone has rights for their life and their love. Especially it became much worse when it started to spreading very fast around the country and afterwards around the world. AIDS. People who had this disease and they went to the hospital, their parents even didn't came visit them because they were against of the homosexualists. Nurses and doctors, they try to protect themselves. Their uniform looks like more like what is astronauts wearing to the space. Elizabeth Taylor tried to do absolutely everything. She spent a lot of money. She used a lot of other people who she knows who can influence to this. That government pay more attention to this problem, and she was one of the first to this problem. She tried to participate every event. She almost started to live in the hospital, and she was walk and touch and hug all these people who had this disease, and she washed her hands not because she was afraid infect herself. No, she was wash her hands because she afraid to bring bacteria to these people who is patient because of the immune system work very bad. She had her own AIDS foundation. She worked with many science, with many doctors, with politics. She talked to president, to queens, to everyone who is possible, just to show that this problem needs solution. This problem need money. She was talking with other celebrities. Mostly of them was reject her, even Michael Jackson. She was very friendly with Michael Jackson, and even Michael Jackson was hesitate to support her with help to the people with AIDS. For decades, she proved that you can touch, you can hug, you can kiss these people with AIDS, and that's fine. And she tried to show, to be example to others that they're also people and they need your support. They need just you. Of course, she lost plenty of her friends because many of them was homosexualist and many of them had this disease. And after decades, of course, people understood that not only homosexualists could be sick of this, but also heterosexualist people could be. Elizabeth was one of the first celebrities who was talk about safety sex, about condoms, about how to do everything safe. Worst of all, her friend and former lover Frank Sinatra turned her down when she first asked for his help. Michael Jackson was also hesitant. So many people made excuses not to help that it shocked her. Who gives a goddamn about career, she told them, when the people without whom we wouldn't have a career are dying. People are suffering. We got to help them. We can't stand by. Elizabeth Taylor, she was extremely suffering that no one could support her because she couldn't understand how others could think about their career, about their life, when so many, it's like millions and millions people suffering and dying alone because everyone turned their back to them. Elizabeth wanted to look perfect for every visit. I hope I haven't overdone it, she joked. So she always arrived with full hair and makeup and the enormous crop diamond on her left ring finger. She wanted the patients to see her the way they had imagined her to be. She wanted them to meet a real movie star before they passed away. Right, so she tried to do absolutely everything. She every day went to the hospital and with her makeup, jewelry, everything. And some people, they feel a little bit better when she show up because here's Elizabeth Taylor and she is just like Kim and she's hug and she talk. She asked about their dogs, who could take care of the dog. Does she need to help them to care about the dog? What about their children? What about their parents? She was asked this question that supports them and she supports them. For her, money, it was nothing. For her, mostly it was health and life of others. She was true friend to Michael Jackson and Michael Jackson said that only Elizabeth Taylor could understood him because their boss was controlled of others and everyone needs something from them and they will feel very lonely. And that's what is Michael Jackson talk about Elizabeth Taylor. A warm cuddly blanket that I love to snuggle up to and cover myself with. I can confide in her and trust her in my business. You can trust anyone. Elizabeth, he said, is someone who really loves me. So it's only one who he think that loved him. It's Elizabeth Taylor. And when almost everyone was against of him, because it was a lot of rumors of his connection to the kids, and mostly everyone is believed Elizabeth Taylor was never believed, and she always was with him on his side. What is Elizabeth Taylor loves a lot, more probably than her husband's, is jewelry. And she loves when someone buys her jewelry or any gift. When it was her last days, she anyway was waiting for people that they bring her gift. I think it's left from her childhood. When she had birthday, she was 60 years old. It was interesting that she celebrated in Disneyland with famous actors. And she said that she never had childhood, and at least at 60 years old, she could see what is Disneyland. So all Disneyland was closed and belonged only to her and her guests on her birthday. About jewelry, because she all the time liked jewelry, she had a lot of diamonds and they was so huge, and that's what it was. At a party in London, Princess Margaret took one look at the crop and said, "My dear, that ring is positively vulgar." Elizabeth bit her tongue, and after a few drinks, Margaret came back over and said, "Excuse me, would you mind if I try the ring on?" "Of course," Elizabeth said with her customary judgpah. as she watched her sleep it on her finger. Not quite so vulgar now, is it? Yes, she didn't quite understand why other people doesn't understand her love to the jewelry, because she was very love them. We forgot about husband number 7 actually. It was Larry Fortensky, and it was quite shocked because he is a construction worker. And he was 20 years younger, and Michael Jackson offered to host the wedding. Why she decided to marry to Lori Fortensky, it was few reasons, and one of the reasons to collect money for patients of AIDS. The marriage been only couple years because Larry Fortensky, he didn't belong to the circle of rich and celebrities, and he felt that that something quite not right, and so they divorced. But even after divorce, Elizabeth Taylor all the time asked him if he is fine and how she can help. She tried to help absolutely everyone who she could. Again, because of her alcoholism, she went to the rehab a few times, but it didn't help so much, and she had even heavy drugs. At the end of her days, she had a brain tumor that was heartbroken, because even after operation, even when she was bald, she felt beautiful, and she even joking, and it was so painful for her. And she was so much hurt, but still she could joke and bring light to this world. She insisted that it would be journalists there, that everyone could see that she passed operation and everything is fine, that other people who need the same operation, they were a little bit more confident about this, because she gave example. And that was interesting also. She was 60, 70 years old. She almost couldn't walk anymore, and still she went and swim with sharks with her diamonds. And when people there, they just like, okay, you need to take your diamonds, because it would be a lot of blicks and sharks will see it, and it would be more sharks came. She just like, well, but that's the reason to swim with the sharks. So she was kind of funny. Another what it was interesting, that when she was sick and she couldn't get up and do anything, she anyway organized party even when she couldn't attend them, because she was in her bedroom. And one time it was Cirque du Soleil performed in her backyard also. I want to finish talk about her biography with this quote. Before she turned 60, Elizabeth told Life magazine, "I've been lucky all my life. Everything was handed to me. Looks, fame, wealth, honors, love, but I've paid for that luck with disasters, terrible illness, destructive addiction, broken marriage." I think that's description of her biography. She had everything what is possible, and in the same time she didn't have. And that's contradiction of the person who is strong, very strong, but in the same time he is weak, and she is not hesitated to show her weakness to other people, because she wanted to be real to them, that they will see that even Elizabeth Taylor can be suffering, even Elizabeth Taylor can feel pain, but still she get up every time saying that I'm strong, and make her makeup and go to see what is a new day bring to her. So we talk a little bit about Elizabeth Taylor, and it's a person who sometimes you hate, sometimes you disappointed, but mostly of the time you're wondering how a person could be so strong and positive no matter what. And mostly what you can feel from her biography is how much she loves life. No husbands, no jewelry, no money, no anything but life. Obviously, she didn't regret of anything at the end of her life, but in some way I'm curious if she knew how it would be her life, what she will choose, to be like just a regular normal person or this famous actress, what she will choose. But I think she will choose to be famous actress because I think she's too extraordinary for ordinary life. Thank you that you watched this video, left your comment, what do you think about Elizabeth Taylor, and see you on my next video.